And the myth, the legend, he's got the breakdowns at Baldy NFL, NFL Network, Westwood One Radio during the season. He'll be calling games, college, pro. He lives for this season. He's taking his vacation. He's done going to Costa Rica for now. He's done going to Colombia. He's done going deep sea fishing. He's done partying. He's done wearing the white jeans. He is breaking down tape. He's breaking down X's and O's, and he's breaking down 49er football. Baldy, good morning, my man.
Good morning, Baldy. Joe, good to be with you guys, man. We're getting a little bit closer here. So, anyways, it's always good to hear your guys' voices.
No doubt about it. It's good to hear your voice as well. And preseason's done, and we'll get into everything. The Trey Lance, we'll close the book on him. We'll close the book on some of the things that's happening in San Francisco. Talk about Bosa as well. But so far, so good for Brock Purdy. 2 drives, should have scored 2 touchdowns. The rhythm, the flow, the run game. On paper, Baldy, I haven't been this excited about a 49ers offense really since 1998 when they still had Jerry Rice, T.O., Steve Young, and Garrison Hurst, and Terry Kirby as a third down back. This offense on paper looks like it's going to be a major problem for opposing defenses in 2023.
I agree. I couldn't agree with you more, Bonte. I don't, I mean, the historic perspective, you might be right about 1998. I mean, it's hard for me to remember that far back, but it doesn't matter. Like, the thing that should get every 49er fan excited and what is going to keep the Pittsburgh Steelers up late at night is that every one of these guys that's going to step on the field in Pittsburgh on September 10th, they've all done it. The quarterback has done it. The left tackle's done it. Every receiver that's going to touch the ball has done it. Every running back that is going to touch it has done it. And then you've got a proven play caller and somebody that, knows how to design offense with the best. I mean, there's no unknowns here. And so it's not like they're waiting on a rookie to come around or they're waiting on a free agent to step in. Like, every single guy has done it in this league at a high level. And now it's just a question of coordinating it with their quarterback. And I don't have any doubt that whether it happens on September 10th and they put up 30 on the Steelers, I don't think they will. But I think this is an offense that should get everybody excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. And I saw that you put out a couple different 49er videos this week, and one of them was the Sam Darnold. Now, I sit in the end zone, that same end zone where he threw that touchdown to Willie Snead. I've probably seen Shanahan run that for Garoppolo a dozen times, and he never seems to be able to connect with that back guy trailing in the way that Sam Darnold did. Now, there's some things that I really like with Sam Darnold. There's some things that frustrate me, but on that particular play, it looked like he multiple progressions, just my naked eye, and then being able to deliver that ball to Snead on that back line the way that he did. I said, oh, okay, well, that's something that this offense hasn't been able to see. What are you seeing from Sam Darnold in this offense?
Well, that was the best play I saw from Sam. I think he could have had a couple balls intercepted the other day. One was in the end zone where he's going to his left and he's trying to fit the ball in. I thought Henley could have easily picked that ball. But on that play, that's how you have to play. And it's with urgency. It's with high level of anticipation of where Willie's going to be, trusting that he's going to be there, and then the location of the ball. I mean, those are the type of plays that you got to make. And you got to make those plays and not make mistakes on those plays. Like, he's going to get hit. It's not, you don't have time to go run, scramble, buy time. You got to stay in there and you got to make the throw. And that's what you're probably alluding to, Joe, is like, not everybody is willing to stay in there and take the hit knowing you're going to get hit, but not even paying attention to it. Just making sure you deliver the ball where it has to be thrown. And that's the difference between probably Sam and Trey at this point. One of the differences is one guy's going to stay in there and make that play. And the other guy is probably going to scramble and try and buy time and make a secondary type play.
Interesting. I want to ask you another follow-up here on Sam Darnold because I've watched a lot of I've watched every snap multiple times, and I'm looking like, what does he do well? What does he not? And then I listened to him at the podium, and he had said, hey, I was looking for structure. And when he said looking for structure, he meant like on the field and off the field. He's really good when he finds that first read. In a clearly, first read, this is where you got to go, boom. I do feel like when the pocket collapses, when he has to go second, third read, which he did on that play, he does struggle. It gets a little more skittish. What are the strengths? What are some of the weaknesses of Sam Darnold? I could see what Kyle sees in him, though.
Well, I think structure. He's talking about okay. You look at Kyle with some of these quarterbacks. I mean, Matt Ryan has the best year he ever had in his life. With Kyle, and they battled. They battled early on when he first got there. They battled. I mean, Matt Ryan wasn't shy about any of that. But he knows so structure is, okay, this is how we practice. This is what I need. This is who we're throwing to. This is the progression. This is the design of the play. This is he's looking for that. He really hasn't had it. The Jets, Carolina, he's just been in places where it's just been turnover and turnover and turnover. And now he gets to a place where, all right, it's on me. Any mistake I make, it's on me. It's not on the guys that didn't run the wrong, they ran the wrong route, that weren't where they were supposed to be. They were asleep in a meeting. He doesn't have that anymore. He's got a team that is built for the postseason. He's never been in a place like this.
Right.
And so, and the guy that's in front of him right now has earned that spot until, something happens or things all suddenly fall apart, which I don't think they will. And so he's got his role. He actually knows what his role is. So I think that's part of it. But what does he do well? I think Sam has always had good movement when he has to move. But on that touchdown throw, there was no need to move. Stay in there and make the play. He has been guilty, even going back to USC, of not having good ball security. Now, he's kind of addressed that in New York, where he doesn't turn the ball over in the pocket as much as he used to. A lot of those plays have gone away, but he had that issue early on. And he has had injuries of an assortment where he's missed time. And when you miss time, you miss practice time. And, it's hard to make up because practices are really important in San Francisco. And being on the field in practice is really important to really understanding what it is that you're trying to get done. And you can't do mental reps and you can't sit in a meeting and a walkthrough. You got to practice this stuff. I used to say to Jimmy all the time, boy, Jimmy, you look like you never have a bad day, right? Because he can have that look about him. Except he goes, come out to practice on Wednesday and tell me if I'm having a great day, Baldy. Because my coach ain't thinking I am. And so he's going to coach you hard during the week, and that's what you should. You should want to have that happen to you.
No doubt. Brian Baldinger here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game, spitting fire here about the 49ers and their quarterback situation. Well, obviously the quarterback room lost a guy Friday afternoon. Trey Lance moved to Dallas for a fourth-round pick, and we barely got to know Trey. 2 years, 4 starts, really did get to see him, and whether it's fair or not, got hurt when his opportunity came around. He got Wally put by Brock Purdy. It was the right decision to go to Brock Purdy. He's a leader of the clubhouse, and this offense went to another level. But your thoughts on Trey and everything that transpired here in his 2 years with the 49ers?
Well, I mean, look, everybody wants, a finite answer here. It's just an incomplete piece of work.
Right.
Because I just mentioned how important practice is. Not only was he injured, he missed practice and a lot of practice time. Broke it. Those things, you can't, it's hard to recover. He needed to play and he needed to practice and he needed a lot of it. And he just never got it. From the very beginning, he really didn't get it. And so we never got to see what it could look like.
Right.
You saw just only flashes. And a lot of it was in preseason, which doesn't count, obviously. Right. And so you at some point you just can't wait anymore. Because you're not going to get better. Honestly, Trey's not going to improve as a third quarterback in San Francisco. He just isn't. He's not going to get any reps.
What about Dallas?
The reps have to go to Brock, and whatever there is left over, whether it's running the scout team, Sam gets that. There's really no time to develop a third quarterback. And that's what he needs. He needs development. I don't think it's going to happen in Dallas either.
Right. I was going to ask you that,
The only way
Baldy.
that Trey can get better is by playing. It's just part of, look, Steph Curry can get better in the offseason, shooting free throws, working on, half-court jump shots, whatever. In the game of football, the only way to get better is to practice the skill. And unfortunately, the skill of quarterback can really only be developed by playing. And so that's why Brock Purdy playing 45 games or whatever it was at Iowa State is really important.
Yeah.
Like he got a lot of seasoning. Well, it's Big 12 football. It's, whatever it was, bowl games. Like he got seasoning. And then he comes in and he hits the ground running. And you go, well, could Trey do that? Maybe, but he never did because he wasn't on the field. He missed too much time.
Hold on. Let me jump in real quick, Shasky, because I floated this out a couple weeks ago. People went crazy. But you mentioned how Trey needs to play. And the lack of college reps, I think, really comes into play here, Baldy. You mentioned Purdy played 4 years. Darnold, we know, got at least 2 full seasons at USC playing quarterback. Doesn't mean that you're going to be great, but you got to play at a high level and you got multiple reps. The Dallas thing seems like a dead end to me because Dak's still there and Cooper Rush is more than a capable backup. I floated something like, hey, maybe Trey just needs to play the CFL just to play. And everybody took it as a negative connotation. I'm just looking at the young man playing because it feels like he could be closer to being out of this league by not playing as opposed to playing in this league, Baldy. He doesn't have any reps.
Well, what I said was, look, a 4th-round pick, I'm not dismissing it. Freddie Warner was a 3rd-round pick. Ofongo was a 5th-round pick. Like, these picks can be valuable picks. But honestly, Trey Lance has more value to the 49ers than he does anywhere else. Like, you could say, okay, Kyle can say, well, give him a chance to be a backup. Okay, maybe he can beat out Cooper Rush, who's 5-1 as a starter in 2 years. But at the same time, if there's injuries in San Francisco this year, just the way there was last year and the year before that, like, why wouldn't you just keep him as an insurance policy this year?
Because of the
like,
drum
he knows
beat.
the system. He knows how to practice. He knows the demands. Yes, I think there's more value to the 49ers with him than anywhere else. Even if he doesn't play this year, you could still get the same 4th-round pick for him, if there's an injury in December or next year. But to me, I don't feel like shipping him out was the right answer. But maybe Kyle truly does think he could get a better shot in Dallas and take the 4th-round pick and move on. But if there's some kind of injury to Brock or Sam Darnold, gets tripped up somewhere along the line, it sure would be nice to know and have a guy that you have put trust in and faith at some point and at least knows your system well enough. He's better than Brandon Allen. I know that. So, I don't know. I just felt like there was a rush to judgment on this whole thing that didn't need to be.
Well, okay, so two quick points on this because we're probably not going to talk Trey Lance anymore. Obviously this is a big moment for the organization. But when you're talking about getting rid of him, what about being on a team and you're just exhausted with the drumbeat from the media and the fans? Is there something when you're a part of a team? Is there something of just getting not a distraction because that means that Lance is a malcontent. I don't mean it like that. Just the chatter and the buzz and now there's a singularity of hey, it's Brock. And we're just going to move on, and we don't have to hear about it if he struggles a little. Is there something being a part of a team where that matters?
Yes, there is that element, Joe, and I'm not going to dismiss that.
Okay.
But honestly, from 4 o'clock on today when final cuts or somewhere near the final cuts are being made, he'd sit there as a 3rd quarterback, and he'd know what his position is. And you go into Pittsburgh and Brock Purdy plays great, and nobody pays one bit of attention to Trey from then on until there's a need to. If there is a need to, and nobody hopes that there's a need to ever pay any attention to him as a 3rd quarterback, but if there is, it sure would be nice to have it. So, yes, there is value in that, but the chatter would go away.
Okay.
It's all about Pittsburgh right now and getting ready for Pittsburgh. And really that conversation, whether he was traded to Dallas or not, would end today as they start preparing for their opener.
Knowing what we know now, which is easy to do, hindsight is 20/20, but what was the bigger miscalculation? The prospect, the player, Trey Lance, or thinking that a guy his raw skill set would work with their timeline as an organization? What was the bigger miscalculation on their behalf?
I just thought the lack of playing time was always going to be an issue. Remember, even in his final year, he played 1 game because of the pandemic, and he wasn't very good in the 1 game. to be honest with you.
Right.
15
to 30, Baldy.
Montana State.
Yeah, Arkansas
But the year
State.
before, like all you're going off of is a year before that. That's it. And I just thought, like, you're not going to make that up. And when people said to me, well, factor in his running ability in a team that likes to run the ball with Kyle Shanahan, they can make this work. And maybe it still could have worked if he didn't miss so much time. Mm-hmm. They were ready to play him. They were ready to build with them and to suffer, the losses that come with trying to develop a rookie quarterback. They were willing to do that. And it all blew up, honestly, the day Brock Purdy stepped on the field. Because then they said, well, this is what we wanted all along.
Right.
A guy that could actually run the offense as fluent as he does and as fluid as he does. Like, this is what we wanted all along. So it all blew up literally the moment he stepped on the field against the Miami Dolphins last year.
And what a story it is. Last pick of the draft, 7th round, Mr. Irrelevant. It's a hell of a story to see him even be ready for week 1 after tearing his UCL in the NFC Championship game. Really, we should be talking about that a lot more. But real quick, defensively,
well, actually,
Baldy.
Bonte,
go ahead, Baldy.
Just to add to that, like as big a miss as Trey Lance now is in the history of this organization, is as big, I think, a win as Brock Purdy might be. They might actually, I hear all the things, about how you can't screw this up any more than they did. Well, okay, go find me a 7th. Go find me Mr. Irrelevant that played at that guy's level and what he has shown so far in preseason and the trust that every single guy on that team has for that guy. That might be a bigger win than the loss of Trey.
No doubt. And they're still winning games. 3 NFC title games in the last 4 years, back-to-back title games, despite Trey not really contributing here. Real quickly, defensively. My biggest concern on the defensive side of the football, Baldy, right now is slot corner. K'Wan Williams, they lost before last season. He goes in Denver, and they lost Jimmy Ward last year, who played a lot of good nickelback. We're going to see a lot of Sammy Welbeck III, Deommodore Lenore, Charvarius Ward, maybe Ambry Thomas. When you look at this defense here, can they replicate what they did a season ago? And I'm assuming Bosa's going to be back by week 1. Or is that an area of concern there with the slot corner situation?
They've had, K'Wan was really, really good for a long time. You play these teams, play Seattle, if Jackson Smith-Njigba's on the field with what they have, you better have a really good player in there. I don't know if Charvarius can go in there. I've never seen him play inside before. But, sometimes, like I remember Kansas City last year, they played McDuffie in the slot, even though he was their best outside corner. But Watson could play outside corner. They put McDuffie inside, and they won a Super Bowl with it. So you just have to find, it's like finding your best 5 offensive linemen. You got to find your best 3 corners. And like some guys can't play inside because they're just not physical enough. But I believe that they're going to be able to find that player.
Baldy, we might not get opportunities to ask you about this guy when the season starts because the NFL is king. I got to ask you about USC's Caleb Williams. He's doing some things back there. Did you catch the game? I know it's San Jose State, Pac-12 Network. Everyone's going to look at the...
We don't get Pac-12 Network. A lot of us here in the Bay Area, buddy. Can you go figure?
Well, I watched
what are conferences?
But that throw was all over the internet. And I didn't even think that was the best play of the night. This kid, Zach Branch, looks unbelievable for USC. But he's special, but can he run around like that at the next level? He's moving around behind that line of scrimmage, and I'm saying, gosh, he's tempting fate there.
I'll tell you this, Joe. So I work for a group that Kyle Shanahan's a part of and Sean McVay called Quarterback Collective.
Okay.
And Kyle's agent, Richmond Flowers, he runs it. So they brought me into Indianapolis to look at the top 20 quarterbacks about 4 years ago. Caleb was still in high school in Maryland.
Okay.
And all they wanted me to do was, Baldy, put them in a film session. Let's see how they are. So Caleb comes in. First of all, he's as nice a kid as you can imagine, as you would want. He's 16, 17 years old. Then he sits in the film room. I'm showing him some Mahomes. I'm showing the elite of the elite. And I'm just saying, what's the coverage? How do you attack this coverage? Some basic quarterback stuff. He's sharp as a tack. Every single thing, he sees it, he knows it, this is what you do. So from that standpoint, it was fun. Then just talking football with him and fun. Then you watch him throw. And I thought, he was bigger than Russell Wilson, but he was every bit as athletic as Russell. And Russell, when we think of Russell like in his heyday, he still might be, but whatever. Except that I said if he went to the combine as a 17-year-old kid, he'd throw the ball better than anybody at the combine.
Wow.
What?
Like, his arm strength and his touch and accuracy just in drills was ridiculous. I mean, from the far hash across the field, put the ball in a postage stamp like he was sticking it as a 17-year-old. Like you just saw what this thing was going to look like. And now we're seeing it in real time. I don't know if he can run around the way we've seen him do
That's all.
last year, the first game of the season. But he's got the escapability you're looking for.
No, he's legit, man. That scene of him playing at Oklahoma in that Red River shootout, I had no idea who he was. It was all about Spencer Rattler. And here comes Caleb Williams, and the rest is history. He's going to be the number one pick for sure in that draft. I'm looking at Arizona. They look like they're going to be terrible this year, Baldy. Anyway, we'll talk more football next week.
Rams, too.
Yeah, well, we'll see about the Rams. We'll see what's up. But Seattle's going to be a player. Baldy, we're closer and closer. Cut down day, 1 o'clock West Coast time. Final 53-man rosters.
My first game is San Francisco-Pittsburgh.
No
I'm
way.
going to be right there
Are
in the
you
confluence.
serious?
Like, I'm not sleeping the night before that game. There's no way I'm sleeping.
Come on, Baldy.
Like, I'm going to be, it's just going to be an 8-year-old the night before Christmas. Like, I can't wait to get to the stadium that day.
You would understand this, Baldy. I was trying to explain this to Shasky and our boss, Matt Nahigan, a couple weeks ago. I've gotten to watch the Giants open up a Yankee Stadium against the Yankees this past season. The Niners last year, the way they opened up in Chicago at Soldier Field. The Warriors are opening up with the Lakers, and this year the Phoenix Suns. And we get Niners, Pittsburgh, 2 blue bloods, the terrible towels, the black and yellow. They're going to be fired up in Pittsburgh with Kenny Pickett and George Pickett and all these guys out there in Pittsburgh. It's a hell of a game right here, week 1. I don't think people understand the magnitude of this.
It's my favorite game of the week.
Wow.
My favorite game. I mean, they got Detroit and Kansas City and, the Giants and Dallas and Buffalo and the Jets. All that is great. There's no better game than San Francisco-Pittsburgh.
Come on, Bosa's not missing this game with TJ Watt on the other side, right? Come on.
I mean, you think Nick Bosa wants TJ to get a jump on him for the Defensive Player of the Year by playing one more game? There's no way. Like, I don't know how big the schism is between the 49ers and Nick Bosa, but I have a feeling that there's still plenty of time to get this done.
That's an underrated word, schism.
Thank
you for providing that vocabulary this morning.
Work that in, Joe.
I love you, bro.
Schism? I like that. Baldy, we'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Have a
guys,
happy Labor Day.
Look forward to it.
Absolutely.
You,
Brian Baldinger here on the Morning Roast. He'll be joining us every single Tuesday. You know the drill at 7:30. Schism. I like